Hey guys, in today's video I want to make a part 4 for the neural network tutorial series because during the series I didn't actually go into the setup of how I made the evolution simulator itself. I basically just gave a high level general overview of how the code worked and some of the scripts, and I didn't show exactly how to set it up in Unity, and it can be a little tricky if you don't know how Unity works very well. So I wanted to just start over completely from scratch and make a brand new project and walk through it with you guys so we can make it from scratch again using the scripts. And then after I make it, I'm going to put the code on GitHub as well for the entire project now because I'm not using any external assets, which is the reason why I couldn't upload it previously. All right, so this is what you see when you try to create a new project in Unity. So we want to choose the 3D option, and we're just going to name this one Evolution Simulator, no assets. We'll create that. Okay, so we have our brand new project set up here, and the first thing you're going to want to do is add a floor. So the way that we could do that is we could just add a new 3D object, make it a cube, and then you could just stretch out these values pretty far. I think you could make them like 200 each for the X and the Z axis. You could type to make it more exact if you want, but I'm just dragging these quickly. And you know what? Let's make a new material for these guys. We make a folder here, materials. And if you right click here, you click new, create material. And then you could change the color to something gray. I did that on accident, just to make it Unity gray. There you go. Just so it's not blinding you. Name this floor. And then the next two things that we're going to want to add are two empty objects so we can add some scripts to them. So this one we're going to call the food spawner. And we're going to do one more for the creature spawner. Okay, and then each of these we're gonna put our scripts. So now would probably be a good time to grab our scripts. So I'm gonna make another folder called scripts. So the easiest way to get the scripts is actually just to go here and download the zip file of it. You could also clone the project if you know how to use GitHub and you're comfortable with it, but I think that downloading the zip is easiest for most people. So you just download it and you put it into your scripts folder. I already navigated here before, so it knows where to go. And now we're gonna have to unzip that. And now I'm actually just going to take all the scripts out of here and put them directly into the scripts folder, so it's easier to organize. And after we do that, we could just delete that folder also. All right, so now we could go back into Unity and it should refresh our little folder here. And there's all our scripts. So now for the food spawner and the creature spawner, we could drag those corresponding scripts onto them. So creature spawner goes to creature spawner. Drag that right there. And the food spawner goes to the food spawner. Oh, we also have the speed controller, which is useful. So I'll actually add that now too. So we create another empty object and I'll call it speed controller. This is what speeds up the simulation, so you don't have to wait forever in real time. You can actually have them train faster than real time. Okay, we'll put that on the speed controller as well. So now to set up these spawner scripts, we need to give them a prefab so they know what to create. So to do that, we're going to make a new folder down here in our assets called prefabs. Let me do that. New folder, call it prefabs. Okay, so in here, we're just going to right click and create a new prefab. And we're going to call this one food. And then up here where you see these tags, we're actually going to want to add two tags to the tag list. We're going to want to add a food tag, and we're going to want to add an agent tag, both with capital first letters. So capital F for food and capital A for agent. And then we're going to go back to our food and add this tag to it, the food one. Okay. And then inside this food object, we can create a new 3D object, which is going to be a sphere in this case. And we also want to tag this with the food tag as well. Okay, and now we're going to create another prefab for our creature. So let's call this creature. And this prefab, we're going to double click on it. So we're editing that one. It's going to get the tag of agent because that's our agent. You could also call it the agent prefab. I'm just calling it creatures because it's an evolution simulator, but if you're using it for something else, it might make more sense to call it an agent. And inside our creature, we're actually just going to add a cube, and we're also going to tag that as agent as well. Okay, so now we could start adding some scripts to our creature because the creature is the thing that has the most scripts in the simulation. So if you have your creature in focus by double clicking on it, you can go to your scripts folder and just start dragging scripts onto it. I would drag scripts onto the top level creature, not the cube itself. So with the top level creature selected, you're gonna drag the creature script onto it. You can just drag it over here to the right. And then we also want the movement script so it could learn how to move, and the neural network. And I think that's the 3 scripts we need. So it's gonna be the creature script, the movement script, and the neural network. That's what goes on the creature. And inside of the creature script that you just put here, you wanna populate this agent prefab with the prefab we just created. So that way when it creates children, it knows to use this prefab to create the children with. And then we also are gonna wanna go back to our main scene and add those prefabs to the food spawner and the creature spawner. So we're gonna put the food prefab right here, and we're gonna put the creature prefab right here. Okay. And on our creature prefab, I forgot one thing. We're gonna wanna add a new component, and it's gonna be a character controller. And that just is what allows the creature to move around. And you wanna change the height of the controller to 1, because right now you can see it's sticking out of the box. And if you make it 1, it makes it more of a circle. So now when we run this, we should see if this works. We could set our speed controller to auto adjust so it speeds up. And let's see if we get this on the first go. Oh, zoomed out a little too far. Okay, so this guy's spinning around. It looks like he's moving as well, so I think it's working. We're gonna see food pop up over time. Okay, and the game's speeding up, that's working. So I let this run for a minute and I was wondering why it wasn't working, because the creature wasn't eating any of the food, and it's because I forgot that the food needs to be turned into a trigger so that way our trigger function works. So you just click on your food prefab here, double click, and inside of the sphere, you click is trigger and you turn that on. So now when we run the simulation, I think we should see it work properly. Let's go back and run this guy. And it should speed up automatically. We should see our speed adjusting. And the speed controller automatically adjusts to like the fastest frame rate that could get you smooth playback. If you wanted to, you could just manually set this to 50 or something, but sometimes if there's a lot of agents on the screen, it will start really lagging and it will only show you a frame every like 10 seconds or so, or even longer. So having it adjust lets you just see what's happening. So if the simulation slows down a lot, you could actually see it slow down a lot instead of just wondering if it froze or something like that. All right, so they are learning, and hopefully you were able to get this set up. I actually looked at the series and thought of like, what would I want in this series that is missing? And it was definitely the setup. It was very obvious to me, like, oh, I just watched this person talk about how to make this thing, but they didn't show how to make the thing. So I wanted to make this video quickly to get it out there. So any of you guys that were following along and want to recreate something like this just so you could start tinkering with it, you could. Oh, another thing, I'm also thinking about combining all these parts into just one really good video, because right now they're kind of scattered and I don't know if I love that, because it's a little complicated to know, like, you should watch part 1, 2, and 3, and then, oh, now there's part 4 that I didn't even mention in part 3. So I might just make one new updated version for 2023, Evolution Simulator. I might add enemies as well. It's gonna be the same information, but it just might be better for a new person to not have to rewatch the same information. Because I feel like one of those TV shows where there's like a commercial, and then after the commercial they have a recap, and then they get back into it, and then by the time they get into it, there's another commercial. I just want to have it all in one go, so people could just get done with it. I could probably finish the whole video in less than 30 minutes, and I feel like that would be pretty crazy for somebody to sit down, know nothing about neural networks, to have 30 minutes go by and they could actually make something like this and understand it. Let me know if you guys think that's a good idea, or if I should just leave them as parts and don't worry about it. And also, if you do have any questions about the first 3 parts, please let me know, because if I do redo it, it would be helpful to know what trouble people had, or if there's any errors in the first parts. So, as always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.